Hello, I'm Mark with the Sea Within You, and I'm offering up something that blends a few of my worlds that I'm working through. I'm currently going through my clinical pastoral education. It's an 8-month program, 400 hours at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And for the first 4 months, I've been working directly in the stroke unit in spiritual care. And I didn't know much about strokes, to be honest with you, before I started working in the hospital. And to be honest with you, I didn't know much about hospitals either at that level in that clinical setting. Part of my formation within the clinical side of spiritual care was getting into a learning plan, and I'm presenting actually a didactic. And one of the books that was recommended to me was called My Stroke of Insight, and I didn't realize kind of how fun and cool this book would be in terms of blending the worlds of my astrological knowledge and also psychosynthesis. And a big part of my psychosynthesis coaching, which is imagery work, which I've done a lot of work in my psychosynthesis programs through the Synthesis Center San Francisco, through Dr. Jan Tall in the Amsterdam School of Imagery. Absolutely loved my um, coursework that's ongoing with him, and also with Alan Frater, who's a psychosynthesis therapist, a researcher, and author, wrote the book Wild Imagination, and I've taken some lengthy coursework with him as well too. It's absolutely fabulous, and all these worlds are converging for me, and these worlds are the necessity to really engage our right brain and also our left brain, but not to diminish this kind of right brain of ours. I'll get into that a bit more for you, but just quickly, the right brain is where the imagination happens. It's that kind of reverie of the Pisces, if you will, if you know anything about the dreaming edge of the cosmos, one with the universe, whole thing of Pisces versus that Virgo, that analytical computer processing, earth-based sign that wants the facts in details, and the desire nature of Virgo, which is to completely clean up the cosmos by means of getting into the weeds and the details through that mercurial rulership of it. That's a bit of a mouthful, but that's for the astrology folks out there. Within the left brain and right brain, you could absolutely just speak to that axis of Virgo and Pisces, which are opposed to each other in the zodiac, in the wheel of the zodiac. So hopefully I'll be able to unpack a bit of that for you today. I'm going to walk through Jill Bolte Taylor's book, My Stroke of Insight, and I'm going to focus in on that right brain of hers that she absolutely beautifully does in her book, and what she gained from the stroke by basically being forced to work and function out of her right brain because her left brain was shut down due to a hemorrhage in her brain on the left side. So here goes. Today, I'm going to give a little bit of background on Jill Bolte Taylor, the book, what I call the Cosmic Alliance. That's the Piscean split, and also what good hospital care can entail, from great medical diagnosis to spiritual care and compassion. And then Jill's deep insight of finding that deep inner peace and how she relates to that. And also some recommendations for spiritual care, good medical care, and then how this can kind of move forward, and perhaps how it relates to you as a counselor, therapist, coach, or as a client that is seeking real movement with yourself beyond just talk therapy and is interested in imagery for yourself. I'm going to provide just a couple links and resources, and hopefully kind of show briefly how I use it and work with it with clients. So Jill Bolte Taylor, she's a neuroanatomist. I'm not even sure what that is, and she's an author. Has her PhD in the area of neuroscience, and she's a great public speaker now. The book describes Taylor's personal experience of having a stroke and her recovery process. And this recovery process, includes her scientific perspective on the brain and the experience of stroke. And it also describes the insights she gained with the brain and consciousness as a complete package during her recovery. So Jill's stroke was caused by a severe hemorrhage in the left hemisphere of her brain, and that's quite common for people with strokes. I do believe it's somewhere up towards 85% of stroke victims. It occurs in the left hemisphere of the brain. The stroke left her unable to speak, read, or write, or recall any aspects of her life, and that was in late 1996 when she was 37. She recovered slowly over a period of about 8 years. On the morning of her stroke, Taylor had what she describes a mystical or metaphysical experience. This is the Piscean part that she believes was caused by the location of the bleed in her brain. Her book is really relevant to CPE for a few reasons. You could speak of it theologically, spiritually, and practically in relating how we can all serve patients, clients, and ourselves with that compassionate care for those that are unable to speak, and for everyone, really. So this book ties in many insights relating to patient care and also what we can learn from truly finding ways to engage that right brain of ours. So hopefully this will make sense as I kind of weave a thread through the slides here today. So I'm going to speak to the stroke story and the morning whenever Dr. Taylor experienced the actual stroke. After a period of waking up and knowing something was physically wrong, Jill describes, by this point, I had lost touch with much of the physical 3D world reality that surrounded me. My body was propped up against the shower wall. I could no longer discern the physical boundaries of where I began and where I ended. So, for the astrologers, again, couldn't be any more Piscean, right? The Neptune reverie. I sensed the composition of my body as that of a fluid rather than that of a solid. I no longer perceived myself as a whole object, separate from everything. Beholding a sense of detachment between my cognitive mind and my ability to control my fingers, my body felt very heavy and my energy waned. As the water beat on my chest, I was simultaneously perplexed and intrigued. Wow, what a strange and amazing thing I am. What a bizarre and living being I am. Life. I am a sea of water bound inside this membranous pouch. I am alive. I am trillions of cells sharing a common mind. I am her now, thriving as life. Wow. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. What an unfathomable concept. In this altered state of being, my mind was no longer occupied with left brain details of stuff that I used to conduct my external world. These were all delightfully silenced. In their absence, my memories of past and dreams of the future evaporated. I was alone with nothing but the present. Again, how Neptunian, Piscean, Jupiter influence that is to be really brought into a right brain mode at that point. I don't know if I would be so open to it. I think I'd just be in a complete panic state. That Jill was as well, but she holds this beautiful line of experiencing a stroke and still being thrown into this delightful experience of the right brain, full embodiment of the cosmos. She says, this was entirely seductive. I welcomed the reprieve the silence brought from the external world. As my consciousness slipped into a state of peaceful grace, I felt ethereal. Determined to understand what was going on, I actively scanned my reservoir of knowledge. What is going on with my body? What's wrong with my brain? Pacing my apartment, I thought, okay, I'm going to work. Do I know how to get to work? Can I drive? In that moment, I realized, oh my God, I'm having a stroke. I'm having a stroke. In my next thought, I thought, wow, this is so cool. In the absence of my left hemisphere's analytical judgment, I was completely entranced by the feelings of tranquility, safety, blessedness, and euphoria and omniscience. Why didn't I just call 911? Well, the part of my brain that was hemorrhaging was positioned directly over the part of my left brain that understood what a number was. The neurons that coded 911 were swimming in a pool of blood, so the concept simply didn't exist for me anymore. Jill finally managed to get a call into her work colleagues, but it was a process and a half, and she couldn't make intelligible noises, but she did make it to the hospital, thankfully. Answer this, squeeze that, they demanded of my semi-consciousness, and I thought, how absurd. Can't you see I have a problem here? Slow down. I can't understand you. Be patient. Hold still. That hurts. What is this chaos? I wanted to communicate, but I couldn't. Yelling doesn't help me understand you better. Don't be afraid of me. Come close to me, she yearned. Bring me your gentle spirit. Speak more slowly. Enunciate more slowly. Again. Please try again. Slow down. Be kind to me. Be a safe place for me. See that I am a wounded animal, not a stupid animal. I am vulnerable and confused. Reach for me. Respect me. I am here. Come find me. Jill continues on to say, I wish I had $1 for every time I was poked and prodded and tested in those first 48 hours. I experienced people as concentrated packages of energy. With the shift to my right brain, I became empathic to what others felt. I couldn't understand what they said, but I could read volumes from their facial expressions and body language. I realized that some people brought me energy while others robbed me of it. One nurse was very attentive to my needs. Was it warm enough? Did I need water? Was I in pain? I felt safe in her care. She provided me with a healing space. While another nurse didn't make eye contact, she brought me Jell-O, but didn't realize I couldn't open the container. She raised her voice to me, but didn't realize that I wasn't deaf. Dr. Greer was a kind and gentle young man. He was genuinely sympathetic to my situation and took the time to pause during his busy routine to lean down near my face and speak softly to me. He touched my arm to reassure me I would be okay. Although I could not understand his words, it was clear to me that Dr. Greer was watching over me. He understood that I was not stupid, but that I was impaired. He treated me with respect, and I'll always be kind for his kindness. So moving on to Jill's insights, her large insight would be that peace is only a thought away, and all we have to do is access it through the silencing of the voice of our dominant left mind. So I'm playing around with this Virgo Pisces axis here. Let me just kind of read through what Jill spoke to. My recovery was a conscious effort to not just recover from a brain injury, but rather to add to this body of knowledge for everyone with a brain injury. I imagined the world filled with happy and peaceful people, and I became motivated to endure the agony I would face in the name of my recovery. It's a very transpersonal perspective or call of self anyway that's emanating deep, right? What am I here to do? And I want to take my knowledge gained and my suffering and my process of the stroke and align my sails towards helping others. My stroke of insight, Jill mentions, would be that peace is only a thought away, and all we have to do to access it is silence the voice of our dominating left mind. In our culture, we're brought into a left mind sequence day in and day out. Facts, numbers, spreadsheets, our testing methodologies within even psychology are very determined. We have DSM manuals for everything. But that's not the real world. The real world encompasses both sides of the brain. And we tend to discount that right side heavily in favor of everything that can be brought down into a very determined analytical fashion. Jill made a full and ongoing recovery over 8 years. And this is amazing work as she continues to advocate, speak, and research her insights through the medical and larger fraternities and audiences. So Jill's insight of finding your deep inner peace. She describes that in losing my left brain, I wholeheartedly believe that the feelings of deep inner peace is neurological and located in the right brain. The feeling of peace is what happens in the present moment. It's not something we can project from the past or the future. Step one is the willingness to be present in the here and now, right now. As Western society honors the skills of doing much more than our being brain of the right brain. So if this is you, congrats. You learned exactly what society wanted you to learn. Go to work and be busy, that whole thing. Be in that embrace of the left side. You've done what society's wanted you to do. Reward yourself for acknowledging this. As Dr. Kat Domingo says, enlightenment is not a process of learning, it's a process of unlearning. So since both sides of our brain hemispheres work together, we can learn to recognize the physiology of when we are present and in the now. Jill provides a whole list of steps and ideas to practically do this. Essentially, it's reminding ourselves of the slowness, very slow, that ripe slowness of the right brain. The right brain holds the place of being for us, right? You need to decide you are not in a hurry with the left brain schedules, the busyness, etc. It's all about mellow, big time mellow, with a very strong emphasis on writing out 15 extra O's to really make that mellow, long, and endured. It's the chill state. It's the right brain time, and it's the slow down, take a breath process that only the right brain can offer us up. Jill speaks, and I love this imagery that she threw at me, that I picked up on anyhow, was cosmic garden tending. And I have a typo here. There goes my left brain, Virgo. I have no planets in Virgo, actually. I view the garden in my mind. I view the garden in my mind as a sacred patch of cosmic real estate that the universe has entrusted me to tend over the years of my lifetime. I love that quote because it brings forward the capacity of our growth from all parts of ourselves, to not discount the left brain, but to also harvest and utilize the riches and the stores within the right brain. I won't read through all of the recommendations. These are a list of Jill's 40 recommendations for spiritual care, good medical care. I spoke a bit of them earlier, and you can quickly Google all these. I highlighted some of them that were really important for me that I've tried to incorporate in spiritual care, working with all patients actually. But I'll just kind of quickly put them on the screen here. One quote that I chose from Dr. Taylor's book was this: you and you alone choose moment by moment who and how you want to be in the world. Own your own power and show up for your life and being bright. And this is more than a nice quote saying. This is an experience that she directly experienced through that right brain. And she speaks to it beautifully and for quite a long period in the book. I highly recommend it if you're interested in consciousness, imagery of becoming one with the divine, with the cosmos, to embrace the Piscean waters, and to also hold those Virgo waters too. This isn't about either or. A synthesis of these polarities would have space for both, and it's recognizing that society largely has the distortion towards that left brain side. And when we do that, we can start to strengthen ourselves. If you're looking for something practical on this, actually recommend the book Wild Imagination by Alan Frater, and please message me if you I should have put this on the slide. I just realized that now. And it's a beautiful book that absolutely qualifies imagery work from a very left brain side. It'll get you there at that level of research and good left brain kind of decision making. It's all in there, and it will provide you with immense amount of resources, from even shape shifting to practical tools to, I think, give therapists, counselors, coaches a means to work in imagery that provides agency back to the client and lets them truly float in the waters while looking up at the sun on a nice calm day in the ocean with just you there, to experience imagery on your terms and to not have it overly guided. Um, the other school that I spent a lot of time with is the Amsterdam School for Imagery, and Dr. Jan Tal is an amazing advocate for working in imagery. And what you'll see here is there's actual imagery, online imagery tool if you want to use it, and it's excellent, and it's all packaged in one. You can just click on the link here. I will put this link in the description. What you see down here, I say work that right brain. Yes, very important. It's very important to work the right brain within therapy and counseling and coaching, because that is where the secret juices are. We're typically always living in our left brain, and to work in modalities that allow you to imagine and gain resources, gain insights, strengthen yourself from that right brain is truly profound. It's, I mean, in practical terms, it will cut short a lot of lengthy talk therapy that could go on for years. We need to get into the right brain. We know this, shamanic practitioners know this. We know this through ayahuasca ceremonies. We know this through all of the new psychedelic medication that they're trying to regulate, but they've been using for, eons and eons and eons. We know that accessing the right brain through time immemorial, through scripture, through art, through everything, has been so profoundly supportive of the psyche. So down here you'll notice we have a psychological functions map, and included on that, taking it beyond even Carl Jung's kind of model, is actually to include imagination down here really within it, and impulse, desire as well too. But essentially what we have is a larger kind of understanding of the psyche, and how imagination is so important as well for our healthy and larger personal functioning. So these are some quick tools. You can poke around within the Amsterdam School for Imagery. Contact me. I can connect you with Alan Frater with Wild Imagination. He has a lot of coursework he offers up for therapists, counselors, coaches, and really recommend his book, Wild Imagination. I'll put that link down in the description as well. Hopefully this made a bit of sense. If you are interested in Jill Bolt's book, I'll actually put that in the description as well too. So thank you, and happy right braining and imagining.